Hi, y'all. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us as we rock and roll. It is hump day already. Wow. Always a quick week. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline is the number. If you'd like to be part of the program, we'll cover a lot of stuff today. Another, the Georgia Pacific plant starting to close, let people go. IBM not coming, proving my point about the helicopter place, Brandon, not coming to Baton Rouge, not doing the big expansion. They cut ribbons and everything. And IBM's, we're not going to do that right now. But we'll get to all that later in the program. I want to jump gears, the death penalty and things of that nature that we've been reading about. None other than our Attorney General Jeff Landry joins us. Jeff, how you doing?
Moon is great. You know, I sent you a picture. I met your sister. Big shout out to her. She's a great person.
Man, when you sent me a picture with my sister, I'm thinking, what did he arrest her for?
I mean, you know, the funny thing is when I met her, you know, she introduced herself to, you know, and she said, and she kind of cringed. She said, you know, I'm Moon's sister. And I was thinking, oh, well, give me a big hug, you know. She's like, well, I got to be careful who I tell people that.
Look, I got a brother-in-law that's a clerk of court. He right. I love it. Brian Lestage, I love him to death. And Brian tells me all these stories sometimes. He said, but I don't, I said, you boast that you're my brother-in-law? He said, no. There's always somebody in the group that points out I'm your brother-in-law. I said, oh, my God. Anyway, I know some clerks, and they're good people. But anyway, thanks for being part of the program. Glad you got to meet. And, you know, you can tell with my good looks. You see, she got some good looks, too, just like me.
Well, she took all the good looks.
I didn't think about that. She got them all. You're probably correct. All right, Jeff, big brouhaha going on about the death penalty, and apparently there's nobody dying in our state that is supposed to be gone. And I noticed in the paper said this, and that's why I want to get your take on it. Jeff Landry, Attorney General Jeff Landry, says Bel Edwards' fault that things aren't moving forward. So let's talk about what's going on, what we're talking about right now for people that hadn't been really following it.
Yeah, so here's what happened, Moon. So back in 2010, a nonprofit organization filed suit against the state about its process for using the death penalty, right?
Sure.
And that stayed executions in the state. Okay, then hence this suit has been dragging on since 2010. We found an opportunity. So when I came in, we looked at the suit. Both Liz Muro and I looked at the suit, and we recognized that we could make some headway and find some opportunities to basically get executions moving again. And then so we worked with the Department of Corrections. We agreed to an additional stay. The Department of Corrections said they would work with us. Then in the dark of night, they then turned around and then simply just filed for an additional stay, not telling us. We fired off a letter to the governor saying, listen, Governor, we're withdrawing from this suit because you evidently do not support the rule of law in this state and you do not support the death penalty. But if you do, these are some ways under which you could begin performing executions, right?
Okay.
And so again, that's where we are. And then it's been silent from the governor. Since that time, we've received numerous phone calls and letters from victims' families saying, thank you for taking this issue up. We've been waiting for justice for years and years. And what can we do to help? I had a couple of legislators call, say, hey, what can we do to help us be informed about how to get executions moving in the state of Louisiana? Hence, we had the committee hearing yesterday.
So, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
So you had the committee meeting yesterday. What do you think came out of the committee meeting?
I think it was a great hearing, and the reason is that it gave the victims' families an opportunity to tell their story. I'm going to tell you, Moon, one of the most touching parts of what we did yesterday, and I want to thank Chairman Sherman Mack and all of those representatives who supported this hearing, is that it gave these families a voice finally. These are people who behind the scenes, outside of the public eye, have been going to court consistently, okay, and waiting years to find justice for their lost loved ones, for people who were taken away from them by some evil person.
Sure. So they got a chance to come vent.
They got an opportunity to come and vent and say, hey, listen, we are waiting for the state to fulfill its contractual promise to us, because that's what they have right there. I mean, look, justice is a contract by the state or by the government to its citizens to say, hey, if you've been wrong, this is how we make it right.
Okay.
And that's the problem with what we have right now. The governor is being dishonest, Moon, and the media is covering for him and allowing him to be dishonest by hiding behind excuses as to why we can't move these executions forward.
Well, and that's what they've been doing with him before he got there. They've been doing it since he's got there, and they can continue to do it, and people want to vote for that. They're crazy. But my point being on this, Jeff, is what was the Edwards people there? Did he have to go to this thing?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yes, Moon.
Did they say anything? Did they say we saw it? Did it say, holy cow? Because I saw where the governor was making up excuses that it's something to do with the whatever you're using to put people to sleep. It's not the right stuff. What kind of excuse was that when I read that today? I read a spokesman from him.
It's a hollow excuse. Look, he had some of his allies on the committee try to make the point that this hearing was one-sided and that the governor didn't have an opportunity to talk and he wasn't properly noticed. But yet the committee room was packed with people because they got public notice. And, in fact, sitting in that committee room was some of the governor's staff who absolutely the committee would have been more than happy to allow them to speak there, to put in a court just like I did. But they didn't. They didn't.
But they had people sitting there making excuses for him, and the media, barely the advocate. I mean, that's all they do is excuse maker for the governor.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. The editors of the Advocate are so dishonest with their readership. It really is. It's become very disappointing. It was a great paper. It's become basically starting to become a liberal rag.
Yep.
I mean, it's what it's become. I mean, going away at Times-Picayune.
It ain't started to come, Attorney General Landry. It is. I mean, just read it. I mean, it's dishonesty. I think calling it dishonest is about as accurate as you can be with the Advocate now. They just dishonest. They do not care about the truth, and they're not going to tell their people the truth.
And I'm going to tell you something, Moon, for those listeners out there who may be readers who discuss it as well. I can tell you, it's not so much all of the reporters. It's the editing that goes on once those reporters turn those particular stories in and the way they twist the particular headlines. I mean, look, all I ask any of the media, and me and you have disagreed, okay? And we can agree to disagree.
We only disagree when you're wrong, but go ahead.
And you're right. But it's about being fair and open in your journalistic practices. And quite honestly, that's why the media in this country as a whole is having such a tough time, because those editors tend to bend things away from the truth in order to insert their opinion. I mean, look, the governor certainly has an opportunity to make his particular statement.
Sure.
But then go in there and do the research necessary to see if those statements are hollow or if there's any factual basis to them. I mean, the governor's excuse, if it was correct, would be applicable in Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee, all states under which executions are being performed to this very day. I mean,
when's the last time they had a execution here? Do you know?
2010. 2010 was the last time that we held an execution. And Moon, here's the problem, okay? You've got a bunch of liberal activists in this state, okay, who are clamoring to end the death penalty, right? They claim that it's not a deterrent. Yep. I will tell you that the information we gave yesterday to the committee was absolutely false. And I'm going to tell you something else. If you stand for our first responders and our law enforcement agencies out there, you should support the death penalty, because it is an absolute deterrent in order to protect the lives of those who go out each and every day to protect the innocent here in our state and to keep our community safe.
By the way, I saw where people actually got up there and blamed Governor Edwards for nothing moving. And Governor Edwards is able to hide behind it's about the medicine being used. I mean, come on, Jeff.
Well, I mean, our evidence lockers are full of fentanyl, right, that are killing thousands of Americans a day, right?
Yep.
Okay, and guess what? We're not using that, but we could. That's what Nebraska did.
Yep.
What Nebraska did was said, look, you came, you made all these we just changed the drug protocol. We just changed the type of drug that we're using.
Yeah, the governor is the governor's allowing his campaign contributors and people that need to vote for him to get between this. But I noticed, Jeff, I would get rid of the death penalty if we could do one thing. I don't know if you agree with me. If you don't, that's fine. And maybe you don't even want to answer, and that's fine too. If we get rid of abortion, I'll get rid of the death penalty. That's what I'm willing to balance. But the left ain't willing to do that. The left want to keep abortion and get rid of the death penalty. But I say let's trade one for the other. Now, I'm not saying that's right, by the way, because there are families out there, they want justice. And the only justice for some of these people is death row.
Well, the problem that I have with that, the reason I would disagree with you is that, one, I don't think we shouldn't trade one life for another, because that's what you really do. What you're doing is you're trying to trade innocent life, which we're working very hard to protect, for another innocent life somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because what the death penalty does is it's a means of deterrent for innocent victims out there. And again, but look, you raise a good point. It's certainly worth a discussion. But when you look at the particular facts out there, and that's what some Catholic bishops use as an excuse, is that we can't be pro-life and be pro-death penalty, and that is not true. The salient point is the fact that in being pro-life, you're protecting the innocent, right?
Yeah.
You're protecting the unborn. In supporting the death penalty, you're actually protecting the innocent as well, because if you listen to the stories of
those stories had to be wrenching, huh?
And they were, and these were all innocent. Look, we've got a guy on death row who boiled his child.
Oh my God!
To death.
Oh my
God!
And
here's the problem.
And Edwards is protecting that.
Exactly. A lot
Edwards
of our politicians out, and the media is as well, because they don't tell the story.
Hold your thought. Let me come back. We'll have 6-7 minutes left to wrap up. Attorney General Jeff Landry on a death penalty, and Governor Edwards, no, we can't do it. I'll give you a statement when we get back and let you comment on it. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hi, you all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Hickson has a hotline, 844-766-6607. If you'd like to be part of the program, Attorney General Jeff Landry, my special guest, and we're talking about the death penalty, and they had a big powwow yesterday and heard the stories from people. Jeff has just said it straight out. The governor's doing this and is being dishonest about it. And, Jeff, I know you're right. The press is baking him up. Here's what the governor said. I took an oath to support the constitutional law of the United States and the state of Louisiana. The fact of the matter is that we cannot execute someone in the state of Louisiana today because the only legally prescribed manner set forth in state statute is unavailable to us, which right there I don't even understand what he's talking about. And we've had a death penalty. He said, go ahead.
Yeah, well, what I would say is that only the first part of the statement is true, is that he did take the oath. The second part.
I agree with that, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the sad part. I've often been criticized for not working with the governor, but again, just for all you listeners out there, this is one of those instances which we have tried to work with the governor on this.
Yeah.
And what he is saying is patently untrue.
Yeah.
Okay, other states have found solutions when they were faced with this exact problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
All it takes is that the administrative rules just have to be changed, meaning all he has to do is pick up the phone, call Jimmy LeBlanc and say, Jimmy, change the drug protocol. Use fentanyl, find a drug, and perform the executions. It's that simple.
That's simple. He could do it. Yeah, but they let him run behind his words. He said, in this time we last had this conversation, nothing has changed. The drugs are not available, and legislation has not passed to address concern of drug companies to offer alternative forms of execution.
Well, when he says that, the question, I don't know why a reporter doesn't turn around and say, well, would you support the legislation? Would you offer the legislation?
Yeah. Why ain't pushing for it?
What I mean? Yeah, I sent him draft legislation.
Yeah, he said it. He said, I'm not inclined to go back to methods that have been discarded because popular sentiment turned against them, or maybe some methods that were deemed to be barbaric and so forth. I mean, he just mumbled words and running behind it once again. And when you got the Advocate and the Times-Picayune, the Gannett papers, you say what you want to say, I guess.
Oh, look, Let me tell you, you're exactly right. Let me help you and give you a good analogy, Moon. This is kind of like you waking up, going into your garage, and you having your tires flat, right? And having at your availability a hand pump, an electric pump, and maybe one of those high pressure air tanks that you can use. And then looking around saying, I can't I can't fix my tire because I can't get to the gas station to use the air hose over there.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, it is excuse after excuse.
Always.
And quite frankly, it's dishonesty with Louisianans. And the sad part again, I'm going to tell you, Moon, I was so moved. What amazed me about yesterday's hearing was that we had all these victims' families. We gave them an opportunity to kind of all come together before the committee hearing in my office. They had really not even met each other. Okay, some of them had never met each other, but yet as soon as they started talking to each other, you could see the bond.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I bet.
Which certainly was a painful one,
sure.
But their ability to share their stories with each other and realize that someone was finally listening, that someone finally cared about the justice that they've been seeking was certainly fulfilling.
Yeah. Jeff, real quick, jump gears just for a second. Louisiana consolidated government. We had a big blow up here. We had an election. All that stuff went to hell in a handbasket. They said they're not going to seek the AG opinion on the district issues that are taking place. Have you been following what's going on here? And do you have an opinion on it just because I'm asking the question?
Well, I get to follow it, on good radio stations like yours and your show. And I mean, I saw that yesterday. Unfortunately, we can't opine until they send us a request. And in the meantime, we stand ready and willing to provide legal guidance to all of the municipalities out there. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we'd be more than happy to issue an opinion.
You can't issue an opinion, but you'd be glad to if they would ask for it. But it seems like to me they don't want your opinion on it. They probably don't want the truth.
Well, I mean, you could certainly assume that based upon the facts. But again, we stand willing and ready to lend them a hand if they need.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think they need one, but I would ask for the opinion, but I don't think they will.
You don't qualify. I mean, I know you think you do, but you don't.
I don't qualify. I asked the question. You didn't answer it, but I know you did answer it. All right, Jeff, thank you, man. We'll do it again.
Hey, Moon, I want to give a big shout out to one of our chefs in Louisiana who's a big fan of yours, Mike Davis. He's the chef over at Ruth Chris, and he listens to your show a lot.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it so much.
Big shout out. Okay,
Mike
take care.
Davis. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mike Davis.
Right, give me a free meal. We'll be right back. Hey, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Let's jump gears for a segment or two. There's a big event going on here. Rick Cambry's joined us, and he's a big part of the event. And we'll get to our two guests, Richard and Stephen Payne, in just a second. First of all, Rick, good to see you.
Same here.
All right, Rick, you got an event coming up. Tell us a little bit about the event. By the way, it's this Saturday, correct?
Correct. This Saturday at the Doubletree Hilton on Pinhook. And it's our 12th annual Veritas Gala and lecture that we are having, that we put on every year. This year's speakers are Richard and Stephen Payne. Every year we put on some speakers. It's a nice event. It's a very plush event, and we bring in some speakers to speak on some element of truth in the church, in society, and to offer some great information for those who attend. And so this year's Richard and Stephen Payne, they're a father-son duo film company that has done tremendous amount of films for a number of years, especially for EWTN, for the last 25 or so years. And so we're excited, very excited to have them here on Saturday.
Well, first of all, gentlemen, good morning. Richard and Stephen Payne, appreciate y'all being part of the program this morning.
Thank you, Moon. Okay. Good to meet you, Moon.
Yes, sir. And I'll start with this. I'm holding one that Rick was nice enough to let me use it. He said, "A wolf in sheep's clothing." Y'all coming in, talk a little bit about what y'all been doing behind the scenes with film, and then some of the division that's being created in I'm gonna say in our country, maybe in the world, but in our country, and some of the bad players and how they infiltrating not only our society but church and things of that nature.
Yes, well, for many years we actually my work began in publishing, and mainly in the publication of the great works of the saints, because I felt that in our times what we need is not so much the ideas, but people who are living the faith and are good moral people. Let's understand them. And so we basically moved into film to do that, and we did many films on the saints.
Yeah. One of the things you did was a wolf in sheep clothing. Who is this about? Let's just talk a little bit about this first.
Okay.
Sure. Saul Alinsky is the father of community organizing, and his followers are Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, to name a few. And so he's someone that grew up in Chicago, studied sociology and criminology, and basically was a socialist. He claimed he was never a communist, but he never denied being a socialist. And so he got very involved with the workers' unions in Chicago, and started doing projects that would organize people and bring them together, and use immoral methods to demonize and destroy their enemies. And so he infiltrated the church through bishops at the time, as well as priests. He gained allies within the church, and they created projects that to this day are still operational at parish level, as well as the bishops' conference itself.
How did Saul Alinsky, because you guys because of your study, how did he get all his power? Where did he get his power from? I know he had a direct relationship, with the Clintons and Obama. You can see in all their policies it's un-American, un-Christian,
yes.
but yet they make their way through. How did this guy grow up and get this kind of power? What maneuvering did he do?
Well, it's interesting to follow his life at University of Chicago, and he's working on his doctorate. He gets involved with the mafia, and that he's studying them in a sense for his understanding of criminality. But in fact, he retained those relationships far beyond those years in college.
Yeah, for example, he studied directly under Frank Nitti, who took over the Capone mob.
Yeah. But so they understood how to move people.
On surreptitious forms of power. Many relationships that they had were acquired, meaning the Industrial Areas Foundation and the whole community organizing effort that he developed, drew funds in very dark ways. For them, the end justified the means, and they did things in secret and in a manipulative way. So they developed all kinds of resources.
How do you think they, when I see somebody like Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, and they're very popular with people, and there's nothing inside, but they're very popular with people. How does he manipulate the American people into believing? I'm just saying people like that who come right from the guy. Let's be honest.
It's utopian thinking, They make promises.
Yeah.
People who have lost their memory of what life used to be in this country, and when it was based on family life and morality of the church and so on. That has been suppressed in the education, public education, and so on, and even in Catholic schools, history is not learned, and so he makes them promises and so you have the entitlement world that has been fostered politically, and he does the same.
I'm going to say this, and maybe you got a thought on it, maybe you don't. I always thought the illegitimacy movement, I'm saying that it might not be the proper words, but the growth of babies out of wedlock into a deal now, we're more interested in that than we are in a mom and daddy having a baby and trying to do what's right.
Exactly.
And it fosters a lot of poverty. It fosters this false hope that somebody's going to come along and they're going to build you a ship and you're going to prosper from government or from other people. And you know what? That never happens in the real world. But people buy into it.
Yep, it's part of the whole plan of destruction of the family. They have to destroy the family to destroy society. And that's always been the communist move. They did it in Russia. They did it all wherever socialism popped up, over the past century and a half.
And there it is. But people don't know the history of socialism, that it never works, and that they take as their objectives to overthrow the government, to abolish private property and inheritance, to root out religion and morality, to destroy marriage, to establish the communal education of children, take the children away from the parents who have the primary right to educate, and put them in schools where they can manipulate the unions and put in their doctrine of sex education and all kinds of craziness,
Yeah, Richard, Rick Camber here. Once you mentioned the fact that in his last book, Rules for Radicals, that he dedicated the book to who?
To Lucifer.
That would be Satan for you people in Balkanville, but go ahead.
Yes, right, yes. And
I just want people to know that. I mean, somebody's going down the road and say, who the heck is this Lucifer cat? Well, it's the devil.
And he ties that in his book to Machiavelli, the Italian philosopher who all he can think about in his philosophy is the will to power. They repress memory. They repress thinking, and that's where right now we've got a culture that's very confused, and that Alinsky is very tied into Machiavelli. In the very first chapter of his book, Rules for Radicals, he lauds Machiavelli, and so it's horrific, really, if you understand what's happening.
I guess you two guys following this. By the way, Richard and Stephen Payne as guest speaking. They'll be here on Saturday night. I'll let Rick talk about that a little more before we go. But you guys must be looking at what Obama did for 8 years, coming from nowhere as a community organizer. That's it. I mean, there's no other reason for him to ever be president. And then you look at since then it's been 10 years since since he came into office, and you look at people like this Cortez woman and what the Democrat Party's doing. And by the way, I'm not in either party. I get mad at both of them, but what they're trying to do with this new socialism, y'all must be cringing at the number of people that follow this lady that has no clue about nothing.
That's right, exactly.
Well, the New Deal,
except the will to power, you know.
Dad, you might want to mention the New Deal and this New Deal that she's promoting, connected to the New Deal that was FDR and his the guy that ran it as his administration was, and
he had. Alinsky was very tied into the Roosevelt administration because that had been infiltrated by a lot of socialists, and so he received for many of his projects funds that came directly out of the government, and that is a forgotten dimension too, because we could say that a good part of the problems of the Afro-American community stem from the initiation of the aid to dependent children in 1933, which forced the fathers out of the homes of people on welfare.
It's amazing. I'm going to take a quick break. What's amazing is you brought that up in 32 or 33. I brought it up not even knowing you were going to talk about that. I've been saying on my program for a long time, illegitimacy and what they've done with that. It's been a political bonanza to people who hate this country. Let me come back. We'll come back and wrap it up, and we're going to bring Rick back in here, too, to announce the event. Richard and Stephen Payne, Rick Cambry, my special guest. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Rick Cambry, my special guest. Big gala this Saturday. Richard and Stephen Payne, we do thank them. These guys are coming in to speak. You can hear a lot more about them on Saturday. Let's do this before I go back to them. How can people get in touch with you, Rick, to book and get everything booked for this? Is it this? Yeah, Saturday. This Saturday.
This Saturday to Hilton, Doubletree Hilton. You can go to the website of the school. It's jpgacademy.org, jpgacademy.org/gala, and you can purchase tickets online. You need to hurry because they're selling, and we won't have them on sale that much longer. So it's going to be a great event. It's going to be very enlightening. These individuals are very bright, very intellectual about the subject matter that we're talking about. So you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss the opportunity of talking to them and visiting with them.
Yeah. Hey, guys, Richard and Stephen, one other thing, a couple of things real quick before we wrap up. I didn't mention anything. We mentioned the illegitimacy. It's amazing. You went back to 1930-something, and I'm on the air every day, and I've talked about this 100 times on my program. I wasn't cutting anybody. I didn't get in a race. None of that. I just talked about how illegitimacy, it crushes families. It crushes hopes and dreams. Terrible. And what you do is you start depending on a Barack Obama to come along and give you everything. We got a governor here, Bel Edwards, trying to do the same thing. And so the other thing I wanted to focus on was, man, if you talk about it, getting an education and going through the churches, how bad is it in the media?
Oh, it's incredible. It's the only major social structure that is accountable to nobody, you know, and that's what Solzhenitsyn, when he was here, he saw the media as the instrument of communism here.
Yep, no doubt.
He had left, and that was really the tragedy, that there was no accountability, that they could tell a truth or a lie. It didn't matter because there was no accountability.
No, but
we can't. We can't forget that also Vladimir Lenin said himself too. Not some, if you include Hollywood in the media, which they should be, you must remember that all the arts, for us, cinema is the most important.
And so they went after Hollywood first. The cultural Marxists went right there and took it.
Well, and by the way, all that makes sense, and it's easy to put together to see what they did. But it's amazing, too? The media sits there and hides behind freedom of the speech, using our own Constitution against us. What a frustrating thing to watch, freedom of the speech. Yeah. Well, how come freedom of the speech is give Barack Obama 95% positive coverage, but beat up Donald Trump 98% of the time? That ain't freedom of the speech. That's an agenda, and that's what you guys are talking about.
They just took over critical theory. Basically, that's the Frankfurt School of Cultural Marxism. It says it's critical because they criticize everything. Everything that is good and traditional, they try to destroy because they just want to take control.
Well, they've succeeded in a lot of ways because when you think about it, they hate Jesus, they hate morals, they hate the Constitution, they hate the founders.
Yep.
They hate more than anybody the press and the left, and yet they just turn around and make it sound like Barack Obama was such an innocent bystander, just a brother that was trying to get things done. That was it.
Yeah, that's and the Fabian socialists.
Trump is the worst thing ever happened to the world of mankind.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. And the Fabian socialists have as their symbol, and this is the force that gave us so many negative realities in our society. And basically, the symbol was the wolf in sheep's clothing from Matthew chapter 7. Beware of prophets who are wolves dressed as sheep.
Boy, we got them, but I can see them, and spiritual people can see them, but the way that they've turned everything around, a lot of people having problems seeing it. Richard and Stephen Payne, thank you so much. Let Rick make the announcement one more time. Y'all coming in, you guys, people that want to go hear these folks, they coming in Saturday.
Saturday at the Doubletree Hilton. You can go to the website of the school. It's jpgacademy.org, jpgacademy.org, and you can buy your tickets. They're still available. It's not just for school people. It's for the public. It's a Veritas lecture and gala, so it's a good informational type lecture. It's going to be a great night. You really need to meet Stephen and Richard Payne.
No, the two guys with a lot of information and informing. I'm sure it'll be a great evening. Hey, Rich and Stephen, thank you so much. God bless, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Moon. God bless you.
Okay, we'll see you. All right.
And what's the time, y'all, on the event? What time is it?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Good deal.
Okay, we got to go. Take a break. More to come. Don't go nowhere. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program. By the way, that was just very interesting. You read about Saul Lewinsky. We knew Obama, the Clintons, man, he's loved what this person talked about Chicago and its all the problems they have. Yes, and through churches. Through churches as well. And when churches look the other way, you just wonder, yes. I'm not talking about any particular church, but I could. It's just, you have people that hate this country. And the media is so much involved. What do you think they're doing in Baton Rouge, trying to get Bel Edwards elected again? Just doing everything they can. But they can't win in Louisiana if we don't let them. That is the best thing about it. We go vote. They have no effect on us. We don't go vote. I go hunting, go play a ball game. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they win. I think that's what's happening a lot anyway. Anyway, all right. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Didn't say where he was from. Don't matter. All right. Warren, how you doing, Warren?
Yeah, from Milton.
Warren?
I don't know if you heard about the governor in California with the death penalty going on over there, saying that it's not in keeping with their values. But, Boone, these people have no values. Like the gentleman that called saying that it was biblical for the death penalty. They're God haters. They're against anything that's right, decent, or good.
Yep.
And, we're going to kill these babies.
Oh, yeah.
We don't kill these babies in a horrible way, but we can't kill these hardcore murderers, these butchers.
Yeah, you know what's sad, Warren? And California's a great place to talk about it. They got an innocent baby. Baby has done nothing wrong at all. Okay? We're going to kill that baby. But a man who kills somebody or balls somebody in water alive and kills them, we're not going to take his life. That is sicko, but that's what's satanic about it. It's sick. This is the Democrat Party, by the way. This is pushed by the Democrat Party.
Yep. And you know what, Moon? In my younger years, I was against the death penalty, but now that I'm older and I see all this pedophilia running rapid, I think these people should get the ISIS treatment in the ditch.
Well, listen, we gotta remember this. We don't want to be barbaric. There's laws. They broke the laws. There's certain things that carry the death penalty. And when those things are broken and you're found guilty, it goes for me, you, anybody, then guess what? You should get the death penalty.
15 years.
Here's the problem with it. There are a lot of people that believe, and there's people been on death row before that have been found out they really weren't guilty. I know we're going to have some of that, but that's far and in between. Far and few and in between. I just think it really is. So California is one of those states that they will wipe out a child in a second. They'll sell baby body parts in a second. But the one thing they don't want to do is kill a very guilty person. And that blows my mind.
Yeah, Moon, well, it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, we've lost our way when we're going to start allowing all this stuff to go on to innocent children, but yet we can let these, and these people get up there and they got ashes on their forehead talking about Trump's not fit for office. They're not fit as human beings, Moon.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I think we got to stay in the fight. We got to stay in the fight. It's a spiritual battle, and it's been a spiritual battle. It really is. It's not the person. It's love and hate. They got hate on their side, but they turn hate into love. which is ridiculous. Killing babies in the womb. There's nothing but evil about that. 100% evil. Anyway, got to run. Appreciate the call. And that's the Bel Edwards' party, the Democrat Party. Let's go to Bill in Shreveport. Bill, how you doing? Welcome to the Moon Griffon Show.
Doing great, Moon. How you doing?
Doing fine, sir.
Listen, I got all this stuff's coming up on the news where they're all up there about this college stuff, people paying to get into colleges and all. We've got a lot going on that's a lot more important than that. For years, they've got all these deals where you got so many minorities get ahead and so many females get ahead of males. For instance, I'll give you a good example. The kid's right out of college, wanting to go to law school at LSU, makes a great score on his entrance exam. A 32-year-old female teacher made way less on the entrance exam. She got accepted and he got put on standby because she was a female.
Yep. And by the way, that's identity politics. That's helping destroy us too, because what it does, it divides and conquer. That's what it does. It divides and conquer. That's what they want.
And with everything we got going on in this country, our FBI is focused on that.
Well,
I don't understand it.
They need to focus on that too. I mean, that was not a. What you're looking at though is maybe not what they're focusing on. What you're looking at is maybe with media coverage of what they want to cover and what they don't want to cover. That's what I think it is more than what the FBI is focusing on, because they focus on a lot of different things.
And then they're down on them about the legacy. If the parents went to a certain school, then their kids have a legacy to get in there. That's been going on forever, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, the college and the university thing, it frustrates me because the way these liberals, and a lot of these are liberals, okay, and the way they try to preach to us and teach to us and act like they're holier than thou, and they're not. One thing about your kid, most people, Bill, would do anything for their children. I just don't think you need to do anything if it's illegal or immoral, but most people will do anything for their child.
Yeah, but I mean, that stuff has been going on for years, and I don't think it's right. But if they want to get in there, that's what they've had to do. But there again, there's a certain deal for minorities and others.
Well, no, they definitely got deal for women, for minorities, and white males do not apply. I think that's what you're going to see in the Democrat Party when they keep saying that Bernie Sanders, Brandon, and Elizabeth Warren are the front runners. I think when that's all said and done, you won't see that.
Then if Biden jumps in.
Yeah, and Joe Biden jumps in, and I just don't think you're going to see a white man leading the Democrat Party anytime soon, unless they figure that's the only way they can win. So, anyway.
One other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll let you go. They all want to do away with all the fossil fuels and all and go to wind turbines and all that. I wonder if they've ever thought about how long a wind turbine will run without grease.
Maybe they're going to do it with butter. Who knows? Maybe they're just going to put a little lard on there, brother.
Won't be any butter because they want to do away with cows.
That's right. I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see them work around this. There ain't no doubt about it.
All right.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
I really enjoy your show, Moon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.